Okay, today we will be doing linear equations. We probably won't get to quadratics because we have several things to do in linear equations. We'll solve some linear equations. We'll look at the types, and want you to become familiar with the coordinate grid, with the X and the Y axis. All right, so let's get started. Okay. Some facts you should know about linear equations. Can you see the screen?
Okay, so make a little break there.
You need it, okay. Let me make it bold. That better, Audrey?
Okay, yes, a little better.
Okay, you want it bigger? Make it bigger. Let me put a new slide and put it on 2 slides. Okay. All right. So let me do this. See, take that out, make it bigger. Bigger. Then I'll go to the next one. Yeah, Audrey, is that better?
Yeah.
Okay, I made it bigger and bolder. Okay, things you should know about linear equations. Some of this is review, but you want to make sure you know what a linear equation is. We know when we plot it, we get a straight line, right? But now some things you should remember, when you have variables, they are always in the first power, never more than the first power. That means your exponent in a linear equation cannot be higher than a 1, okay? Now, when we get to quadratics, you'll see it has a 2, and then some that have 3 or 4 or whatever. But linear equations, highest power is 1.
1.
Okay, and linear equations have variables, and we know what variables are. They are alphabets A through Z, and they represent a number, and we most times don't know what that number is. In linear equations, we're solving for that variable, right? Okay, now let's go to number 2. Now, the number in front of the variable we call what?
Coefficient.
Coefficient, right? Coefficient. It's a multiple of the variable. So if you have 1x and 1 is the default, that means you have just one of that variable. If you have 2x, then you have 2 of that variable, because the 2x really means 2 times the variable x. And then you have the constants, and the constants are terms. Now, all of these are called terms. The coefficient with the variable is a term. The constants are also terms. So you can have a linear equation, it could be made up of 6 terms, because you count each constant as a term, you count the variable with the coefficient as a term, or if the variable is without a coefficient, it's still a term. Got it?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, all right, let me just make sure here. Suppose I had, let's see, I'll make this bigger. Okay. Okay, I'll make this bigger. This is a linear equation. Make it where you can really see it. Okay. Okay. 3y plus 2y equals 16 plus 7. How many terms do you see, Audrey?
Two terms.
No. Look again. 3y plus 2y equals 16 plus 7. How many terms?
That's 4.
That's right, that's 4. Even though
4
you can
terms.
add these together and get one term, right? But as they appear as two separate terms. So this is a term, this is a term, this constant is a term, this constant is a term. Now, if we wrote it as 5y equal 23, then how many terms? Maureen, are you there?
Yeah, 6 terms.
6.
No, 5y
1,
equal 23.
2.
That's a
It's 2 terms.
2 terms.
Oh, she's
Audrey.
talking
Yeah.
about the expression.
No,
I thought
Audrey.
she had it all together.
No,
I
no,
thought so too.
no. This is a linear equation. If you see
Uh,
that equal, that means the terms are equal to the other terms. This is a separate linear equation.
I see.
5y equal 23. So that's equation 1. That's equation 2. Equation 2 has 2 terms. Got it? If I ask you the total terms in equation 1 and equation 2, then you would have been right with 6 because you have 4 here plus 2 here, that's 6. But that's not what I asked you, right? I asked you how many terms are in this equation. Got it?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go to our next slide. Now, when we solve linear equations, we tried to find the value for the variable. And we know the variable is something from A to Z. So we call this isolating the variable. So if you have variables on both sides, then you may want to combine those variables. So you have variables on one side. And we want to put the variables on the left side because that's the conventional way, okay? Now, in order to get them on both sides, we do what we call inverse operations. And what those are, when you pair these up at inverse operations, addition and subtraction. That means if you're adding something, you need to subtract it to combine it. That's right. And multiplication and division is the other set of inverse operations. So if you're multiplying, then you need to do the opposite, which is dividing. And that's very important because that's what you must do to solve these linear equations, right? So if the variable is not all on the left side, you do the operations you need to do to get it on the left side. And then your constants you want to get on the right side. So you need these inverse operations sometime on just one side, sometime on both sides. So you should be able to do it on both sides, but it's very important to remember these inverse operations. You don't mix them up, addition with division and subtraction with multiplication. It's just addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. Okay? All right, now let's go. Okay, so knowing that, let's just solve a linear equation. Here's one. This is one has just one variable in it, right? And that's x. Now, this you can solve actually without doing the algebra, right? Because it's only one number adds to 2 to give 9. And what is that number?
Yeah.
7.
7. That's right. So you could say, what is the value of x? X equals 7. But if it was a little more involved, then you would have to do one of your inverse operations, right? And those inverse operations, let me just make that bigger, x equals 7. Okay, so if this was a little more involved, then you'd have to subtract. The inverse operation of a plus is a subtraction, right? Addition, subtraction. That's an addition. Inverse subtraction, subtract the 2 from both sides, and you'll get 7. So some you have to actually go through the operation. Some you can mental math, just determine what it is, all right? Now, suppose you had, let me just give you one here. Okay. Suppose you had 2x plus 3 equal 10. Now, this one, you see you'll have 2 inverse operations. What are they, Audrey?
2x and 3. 10.
2x plus 3 equal 10. Now, you want to get your 3 on the side with the 10. So that's an inverse operation. You want to get the x by itself. That's another inverse, because that's a multiplication. You'd have to do the division. Here, this is addition, so you'd have to do the subtraction. Now,
Subtraction.
Audrey,
Hmm?
tell me, doing those operations now, let's see, what would x be equal to? What's the value of x?
1.
2 times 1 is what?
Huh?
What's 2 times 1?
It's 2.
What's 2 plus 3?
It's 5.
That's not 10.
Huh?
That's not 10. You said
No.
x was 1, right? If 2x plus 3 is equal to 10, x can't be 1, Audrey, because if I substitute a 1 here, 2 times 1 is
Oh,
2, and
X was
2
on
and
this
3
X would
is
be
5.
7.
X. So the
X will be what, Maureen?
7?
What's 2 times 7?
Oh, 5.
What's 2 times 7?
So 7 is 14.
What's 14 plus 3, Maureen?
2 times 4.
14 plus 3 is 17.
And that's not 10.
No.
Oh, I
2.
see.
Right? You can always check it. You can substitute in your variable and put your number in. If it doesn't come out equal, you know it's not correct.
Okay, which is wait, inverse operation.
Who was this?
So how would you solve this, Audrey? You got any ideas? What would you do first?
Both sides.
What would
Subtract
you
3
do
from
first?
both sides.
Yes, subtract 3 from both sides. And if you do that, let me put what you'll get. You subtract 3 from both sides, you get 2x equals 7.
Equals 7.
Right? 2x would be equal to 7.
And then if you add 7 and 3, you can get 10.
Okay.
I know.
2x equal 7.
7.
Let's put that there. Now, you've got 2x 7, Maureen. How would you solve for x?
Okay, divide.
You subtract 7 from both sides?
No. Audrey, you said it. What would you do, Audrey?
You divide it 2.
You divide. Maureen, why would you subtract? That's a multiplication.
Oh, yeah. Multiplication, yeah.
Right? Yeah, you like to do your subtract, but you got to look at the operation. 2x is 2 multiplied by x, right? So you'd have to divide, and that means x would be equal to 7 divided by 2. And you can leave it like that, or you can say 3.5 or 3.5. Questions? Now, I did this little example to demonstrate how that inverse operation works. Because you're adding a 3, the inverse is subtraction. So now you subtract a 3. And 10 minus 3 is 7. So now on the right, you have a 7. 2x is equal to 7. What number times 2 gives 7? 3.5, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can always check it. You put 3.5, 2 times 3 is 6, 2 times a half is 1, 6 and 1 is 7. Now you know it's correct. Got it?
Yep.
You can always check your work, okay? But it's very important that you keep those inverse operations in order. Addition goes with subtraction, and multiplication goes with division, and vice versa. Division goes with multiplication, addition goes with subtraction. Got it? Okay, now let's go to here. All right, solve this one. Tell me the value of x. 3x minus 5 is 35. And that's a multiple choice, so solve it and tell me, is it A, B, C, or D?
Okay.
Audrey, what do you do first? What would you do first, Audrey? You got 3x minus 5 is 35.
You add?
Add what? You're right, you add, but what do you add?
You add the 5 to both sides?
That's it. You've got it. Add 5 to both sides. So let me just make this bigger. Okay, so you add the 5 to both sides. Now, what would that give you? 3x minus 5 plus 5, we adding 5 to both sides, equal 35 plus 5. Okay. Put that here, 35 plus 5. Okay, now what would that give you, Audrey? On the
40.
left side, what do you get? Yeah, you get 40 on the right. What do you get on the left?
You get 10.
Minus 5 and a plus 5 is what, Audrey?
0.
Okay.
That's right. When you're adding the same value, whether it's a constant or a variable, a constant variable combination, it gives you 0. We sometimes call it canceling, right? But they add up to give you 0. So you just have 3x left, right? And then, Audrey, you told me 40. That's correct.
0.
Okay, 3. Yeah. And anytime you add the same value, Audrey, you get 0. Whether it's constants, in other words, minus a plus a variables, that's 0. Or whether it's constant with the variable, in other words, 2y minus 2y gives you 0. Okay? Now,
The answer is C.
That's it, Maureen. The answer is C, because you divide both sides by 3 and you get x equal 40 over 3. And 40 over 3. That's it. Answer C. That's the answer to this one. Audrey, did you get that answer? You get that answer, Audrey?
Yes.
Okay. And notice
If you
that,
get that minus and plus, you get 0.
yes, you got to remember, Audrey, just think, well, if you have 10 and you take away 10, what do you get, Audrey?
0.
0. So 10 is a plus 10. Take away is the minus 10, and you get 0. Okay? So anytime you add and subtract the same value, and that value could be, like I said, a number, it could be a variable, it could be a variable number combination, doesn't matter. It will still give you 0. Got it? Okay. Now, let's go to number 3. Now, number 3, you've got parentheses, and you know what you do with parentheses. Remember from PEMDAS? What do you do, Audrey?
Yeah.
What do you do with the parentheses?
You talk to me, Miss Barbara?
Yes, Audrey. What do you do with the parentheses? Here we have 2
Okay.
times the expression in parentheses 3x minus 1 equals 7x minus 3. So what do you do with the
You
parentheses?
multiply the 2x. Okay, let me see.
You multiply 1.
You multiply whatever in the parentheses by the 2.
That's right. And what would that give you? I'll just put it here. What's 2 times 3x? Audrey, 2 times 3x. Multiply the coefficients, Audrey. Audrey, are you there?
Yes, you're talking a little slow. I can't hear your voice that much.
Oh, okay. Let me adjust my microphone. Okay. Can you hear me better now?
Yes.
Okay. What's 2 times 3x?
2 times 3x is 6x.
Very good. 6x. Okay. What's 2 times a negative 1?
That's 2 times a negative is negative.
That's right. Unlikes multiply to give you negative. So 2 times a negative 1 would be what? Audrey, 2 times a negative 1.
It's negative.
You can hear.
Can you hear me, Maureen?
Yeah, but I wonder if Audrey can hear.
Audrey, can you hear me? 2 times a negative 1.
Okay.
Multiply unlike signs give you negative.
-2.
-2. Very good. Okay. Because unlike signs multiply to give you negative. Now, all of that is equal to what we see on the right. 7x minus 3. Now, Audrey, what do we do next?
Okay.
We want to get our
We
variables
divided.
together and our constants together. So what do you do next?
Okay,
You want to get 2 things you want to do here, Audrey. You want to get the 6x with the 7x. You want to get the -2 with the -3. So think of your inverse operations. You want your x on the left. So how do you get your 7x on the left side?
You divide.
No, this is a plus.
Oh, okay, that's a
plus 7x.
Subtraction.
You have to
7x is a
subtract it.
plus.
Yeah, 7x a plus. Default is a plus. So if you want to get the 7x on the left side, you'd have to subtract.
Subtract.
Yes, you'd have to subtract the 7x from both sides. So let me just give ourselves some room here. Okay. Right now, let me go back here. Copy this. Okay. I want to put this here so we have room to work with it. Put this here. Okay. And I'll just make this bigger. Okay, so now we've got 7x minus 3. Okay, once we multiply that out. So we have 6x minus 2 equals 7x minus 3. Okay, now the 7x minus 3 is...
So you see, we subtract the 7x from both sides.
Let me go here. Okay, the 7x minus 3 is on the right. I want to make sure it's on the right. Okay, now, Audrey, what do we do here?
You subtract the 7x from both sides or the 6x?
That's right, 7x.
7x.
Yeah, because you want your x's on the left. So let's just do what you just said. Let me just copy that. Okay. So copy that. Okay, let me just copy this. I'll use my... Let me just use my pen and then I think I can draw it better than the other work. Okay, so this will be, I'll just copy this again. 6x minus 2 equal 7x minus 3. So you say subtract 7x from both sides. Audrey, that's exactly what you should be doing. 6x minus 7x. Okay. So 7 minus 2 equal, do the same thing on the right side, 7x minus 7x minus 3. Okay, Audrey, what do we have on the left side? 6x minus 7x give you what?
-1.
That's it, -1x. Get your variable. Minus 2. And what do we have on the right side, Audrey?
Negative 7x. We have the 7x minus 7x is 0.
Right. So what's left?
So that would be x minus -3.
-3. Perfect.
That's -3, right?
Yep, that's
Yeah.
-3. There we go. Now,
Right.
now we have -1x minus 2 equal -3. What do we do next, Audrey?
Minus 1x minus 1x minus 3.
We need to get the -2 with the -3. So what do we do?
No, we got minus 3, we got 1x minus 2. So we add.
Okay, what do? You add what?
Wait, I'm telling you now.
You're right, but what do you add?
That's -1, right? That's -1x.
That's -1x minus 2 equal -3. So what do we add?
-1 minus 2. 2. Add.
Remember, Audrey, you want to isolate the x by itself. That means you want to get
So
that
x,
-2.
the x will be the same thing as the 1.
What did you say, Audrey?
I think negative, I don't know, I got -1.
Think about it, Audrey. How do you get this -2 on the side with the -3? Think of inverse operations.
Okay. How I get the -2 to the side of the 3, you say?
Yeah, on the side where the -3 is. Those are constants.
You add the 2 and the 1, -1.
No, you only deal one at a time. You add the 2 to both sides.
Okay.
So if you
the 2.
add the 2, yes, because you add the 2, you'd have a -2 and a +2 would give you 0. So you add the -2, right? Now, if you do that, that would just give you -1x
1x
equal
plus
-3
3.
plus 2, because you added a 2, right? But a +2 and a -2 on the left just give you 0. That's why you just have the -1x left. And Audrey, what's a -3 and a +2? What's that equal to? Like signs, you subtract. Carry the sign of the number with the bigger absolute value. So what's a -3 and a plus? -1. Very good. So you have -1x is equal to -1. So what is x equal to, Audrey? What's the value of x?
Okay. -1.
This is a multiplication. This is a multiplication right here. So you're going to do a division. So what's a -1 divided by a -1? -1 divided by -1, Audrey. What's that equal to?
A minus and a minus is a plus, right?
It's 1.
Yeah, it's just be 1, because minus
Just 1.
divided by minus is a plus. Like signs give you plus. So this answer would be x equal to 1. Audrey? Let's go back through this, Audrey. Tell me what you do. Okay, starting with, you've done the parentheses. You got a 6x minus 2. Now, starting from here, what did you do?
I multiplied the 2x.
No, you didn't multiply. What did you do here?
What do you mean?
Right here.
Go about the top.
Right here.
Okay.
6x minus 2 equals 7x minus 3. What did you do here? What was your next operation?
Okay, let me see what you're doing. But I subtract 7 from both sides.
7x.
Huh?
7x.
7x.
Right, 7x.
You subtract 7x from both sides, and that's how you got the 6x minus
6x.
2 equal
Right.
minus 3, right?
Yes.
But I'm sorry, the 6x minus the 7x, that's how you got the 1x.
-1x
7x minus 7x
minus
0.
3
Minus 2, just carry that minus 2, and we just had minus 3 on the right. Now, what did you do here? Trying to get your constants together. How did you get that -2 with the -3?
Okay, this is what we do here, -2, -3.
You didn't add a negative, actually, you added a plus.
1x. Okay, I did 1x.
So you added a +2, right?
Okay.
Add, it's like a -2. So you added a 2.
I added the 2, -2.
So -1x plus a -2 gave you 0.
Yes.
So on the left side, you just have a -1x.
-1x.
And then the -3 plus a 2, and you subtract, and that's how you got your -1. But if minus x equal a -1, then you multiply both sides by negative, you get a plus x equal a +1. And that's, you will not leave that variable with a negative, okay? Don't ever leave your variable with a negative. Sometimes you'll have a negative, and this is a positive, and then you'll just say x equal to negative times negative, or would be plus. But don't ever leave your variable with a negative sign. So minus equal minus, divide by minus, plus equal plus. Questions? Maureen, did you get that answer?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's go. Okay. I want you to solve this one. Give you a few minutes to solve 1/6x plus 3 equals 7. What is the value of x? Do your operations and tell me what you get. It's really a mental math. Maureen, you got the answer?
Huh?
You have the answer? What happened?
I multiply 6 by 3, right?
No, what do you do first? That's a 1/6x.
Yeah.
So what do you do first? What's the first operation, Maureen?
You divide.
No.
You multiply.
Oh, that's an add.
No.
Oh, that's a subtract.
You subtract. If I gave you this and I list some possibilities, say, what is the first operation? The first operation would be to subtract the 3 from both sides. You got to do that before you start doing the multiplying or dividing or whatever, because you're not going to touch that 1/6x until you get your constants combined. So the first thing you do is subtract the 3 from both sides.
Yes.
Okay, so keep going. Tell me what you get for the value of x.
Four.
Nope. Maureen's not 4. Think about what you're saying now. 7 minus 3 is 4, right?
Yeah.
1/6, Maureen, of what number gives you 4?
1/6 of what number gives you 4?
Right. One-sixth of a number equals 4. What is that number?
Let's see. 24?
That's it, 24. Or did you get that? Audrey, did you get 24?
Yeah, 1/6 multiplied from the 4, that when you subtract the 2 3s.
Well, once you subtract the 3, okay.
Then you subtract the 3 from both sides, you get 4 and 1/6. The 6 is division, and division is turned to multiplication.
That's right, absolutely. So when you subtract the 3 from both sides, okay, subtract 3. Okay. And you get what? 1/6 x plus 3 minus 3 equals 7 minus 3. And that's equal to 4, right? So 1/6, then you rewrite it, 1/6 x equal 4. And then Audrey, what's your next step? You want x by itself. What do you do? That's a division. So what do you do, Audrey?
You thought me, Miss Barbara?
Yes.
What do you say?
1/6 x equals 4. How do you solve for x?
Okay, what's for the x? You divide x.
Well, at this point, you can actually melt a bath, say what x is, because in order to get 4, right? Some number divided by 6 is 4. That number can only be 24, like Maureen said. But if you...
3. Wait, 3 to 6 is 2 and 1. Okay, wait.
So you really multiply both sides by 6. Right?
We got to multiply 6 before we get 24.
Yeah, but I'm saying you didn't have to do that because mental math, you know what? 24 over 6 is equal to 4. So multiply by 6, that would give you x equal 6 times 4, because 1/6 times 6 just give you 1, so that's just 1x, right? So x is 24.
6 times 4 is 24. And what you say, do with 24?
Yes, it's 24. I'm saying, Audrey, what I'm saying is when you say 1/6 x equal 4, like here, right? There's only one number you can, that's it. There's only one number you can put in this numerator and divide by 6 and get 4. That's 24.
Right, 6. So x is equal to 6.
Yeah, you can simplify your life by right here saying, oh, what number divided by 6 is 4? 24. So you don't always have to go through each algebraic step.
Okay.
For some that are mental math, and this is saying 1/6 of a number is 4. Only one number you take 1/6 off and get 4. That's 24. In other words, 24 in the numerator divided by 6 equal 4. That's what you did, Maureen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just saying how you can simplify your life by not having to go through each algebraic step. Got it? Okay. Now, just to recap, whenever you're solving any equations, you want to distribute any coefficients. Okay, that means if you have like parentheses, that's what the distributing means. You want to multiply by everything within the parentheses. All right. Then you combine the like terms. So your like terms would be the like variables, and then the like terms could be the like constants. Then you isolate the variable. That means putting that variable on the left side and then solving for it, okay? Sometimes it's solved when you put it on it, but if not, you may have to do the operation to make just the variable appear, not a coefficient of the variable, but just the variable. Questions? Okay, let's go. All right, now this is a coordinate plane, and I put it here so because we will be looking at some of this later. Now, for a coordinate plane, what you have x horizontal, y vertical. Right side x, left side x. The top y, that's positive, and below negative. For the x, right side positive, left side negative. Now, whenever you see these written like x and y, well, you see them written x and then y, and that's the way you name them. So if I gave you, let me just mark a point here. Let me take the 2 and I put here. Okay, we have a point right here. Maureen, what's the value of that point? Give me the x and the y. What's the x and what's the y?
What x is?
Yeah, what's the value of x at this point on the coordinate
The
plane?
y is 4.
No, give me the x first.
Or the x.
Yes.
The x is 2.
What she have for the X?
X is 2 right here, Audrey, on the
Yeah.
horizontal.
Oh, she said X is 2.
X is 2. And what's y, Maureen?
4.
4. Right. See, you can just do this, Audrey. There's the y. And let's see, there's the x. Right. And there's the point. Got it, Audrey?
I didn't hear you, Miss Barbara.
Okay, I said there the point where we put the point on the coordinate plane, the y value is y. We go across to the y and we come down to the x.
Well, the value is 4.
That's right. And the x is 2. And you always put it in the format. It's never yx. It's always x and then y. Okay? Always. Never the other way around. So when you're given these points, they're given the x first and the y second. And when the x, we call this what? Rise over run when we're doing the slope, because then we have the difference in the y over the difference in x. And rise is rising up on the vertical, and run is running across on the x.
So that would be 3.
Let me give you another point, or do you tell me what this one is? Okay. Let me give another point here. So suppose I had, the point was right here. What's the x value? What's the y value? You put it here. You tell me the x. What's the x? You see the x value?
-2.
-2, that's right. -2. What's the y value? Okay, so
where's the y? Where's the y? I see the tip of the y.
What's the y value?
0. I don't see
0. You got it. That's right. If you are on the x line, the y is 0. If you're on the y line, the x is 0. Okay? So if your point is sitting right on the x line, then your y is 0. If it's sitting on the y line, then the x is 0. So if I was right here, Maureen, what is that point right there? What's my x and what's my y? Right here, Maureen.
The x is 5.
No, that's a 5 is y.
Right, oh yeah.
So what is
0
x?
is like 0.
X is 0. Remember I said if I'm on the y line, then the x is 0. So x is 0 and y is 5. Got it? So when you're on the line, something is 0. And if you're on the y line, the x is 0, like here. Right? But if you're on the x line, like here, the -2 is x, the y is 0.
Becomes 0.
All right. So you know how to find these on the plane, right? And like I say, they never reverse. They never y, comma x. It's always the x value first, followed by the y. Got it? Now I have a little coordinate plane here, and here's one. This is a graphical representation of linear equations. Now here's the equation. Now let me just put slide. Okay. Let me go back here. That's x minus 2y equal 2. So let me just put x. Okay. X minus 2y equal 2. Now, we can calculate these values, right? Let me just put here, okay, x and then y. Now, Audrey, when x is 1, well, no, let's just say 0. When x is 0, what is y?
0, 1.
Yes, right here. Put 0 here and solve for the y. When x is 0, what is y? Calculate it from this linear equation. That's the one on that graph I just showed you.
0. 2 not, so not, except in the way.
No, if you put a 0 here, you have 0 minus 2y is equal to 2. So what is y equal to?
It's equals to 2.
No. Maureen, you have it?
2, 0 minus 2.
No.
2, it probably equals to 1 then.
No.
4?
4.
No. Don't guess. Solve it. Put a 0. Okay. Put a 0 there for the x. All right. Let's go here.
Yeah.
Solve it. Okay. Put 0 minus 2y.
Let us see. Minus
Equal
2y
2.
is 2y.
So 0 minus 2y, that would just be a minus 2y equal
Yeah,
2. So what is y equal to?
2.
No. Y is 2 divided by negative 2. And
It's
that's a
negative
1. Not a 1, Maureen, a negative 1. So when x is 0, y is a negative 1.
Oh, I see.
You got it? You substitute the 0 for the x and solve for the y. But remember your signs now.
Okay.
Positive over negative gives negative.
2y equals 2. And 0 minus 2y.
Now I want you to.
So if it was a 10y,
No,
that means then it would be
okay, let's take what
5.
What
Minus
Maureen?
5.
What?
If it was still a 2y and you had 10y, that means it would be minus 10, minus 5.
No, you divide by 5. That'd be the 10 minus 10. 2 divided by minus 10 gives you a minus 2 over 10.
Oh, 2 over 10. Oh.
You'd have a fraction.
Oh.
Because remember, you're dividing by the coefficient of the y, right?
I see.
Now, I gave you 1. When x is 1, Audrey, what is y?
If x is 1, I'm not sure.
Maureen, you have it? What is y when x is a 1? Put a 1 here and solve for y.
2?
No.
Matthew 1.
Put the 1 in for the x. And that means you got to subtract the 1 from both sides. So you get minus 2y equal 1. So y is a minus 1/2, right? Isn't it a minus 1/2?
Okay, she says.
Are you putting in the value and then solving it? Because if x is a 1, where you see the x, you put a 1. So you'd have 1 minus 2y equal 2. So minus 2y is 2 minus 1 or 1. Then y would be 1 over minus 2, so it would be a minus 1/2. Right? Did you get a minus 1/2, Audrey?
No, I always got problem with these. I never could like them. I always got problem with them.
No. Let's okay. Let me insert.
I never could get these. I always have problem with them.
Okay. Let me go back to this. Okay. X minus 2y equals 2. So let me go here. Okay. You put X.
X
minus 2y equal to 2. Okay. Now, we said if X is equal to 0, we want to solve for y. So where X is, you put a 0. 0 minus 2y equal 2. But 0 minus 2y is minus 2y. And that's equal to 2. Then to solve for y, you divide both sides by minus 2. So y would be equal to 2 divided by a minus 2. And what do you get when you divide unlike? You get a negative. So that'd be minus 1. You got it?
Yeah.
Now do the same when it's a 1. Suppose X is a 1. So let's put here 1. X is a 1. So put 1 minus 2y equal to 2. Right? Now subtract the 1 from both sides. You got minus 2y equals 2 minus 1. And that's equal to 1, right? So divide both sides by negative 2. Y would be equal to 1 over a negative 2, or minus 1/2. Audrey, is that clear?
I don't think so.
What you're doing, Audrey, you substitute one of your variables. You're substituting one of your variables and finding the value of the other variable. So we said X is 0. So put the 0 there. Yeah, we said let X be 0.
Okay.
What is Y? So put where you see the X, put a 0, right? Minus 2y equal 2. Now you want to take this equation and solve it for Y.
You take away the 0 from the 2y?
You take away the 2y from the 0. 0 minus the 2y is a minus 2y. Right?
0 minus 2y is equals to 2?
0 minus 2y is a minus 2y. And we still have our 2 here on the right. But now you want to solve for the y. So to isolate this y variable, you've got to divide by this coefficient minus 2. Right?
So you divide the negative 2 by 2?
You divide the negative 2y by 2, by negative 2. So this is negative 2y divided by negative 2, and that just gives you y, because a negative 2 over negative 2 is just 1. And then you divide the right side 2 by negative 2. Plus over minus give minus. So 2 divided by 2 is 1, but you have plus.
So how you get the negative 2 over the 2? Where that negative 2 come from?
Which negative 2?
That you got y equals 2 over negative 2.
This negative 2? That came from here, remember? We divide by a coefficient.
Oh.
We want to just solve for y. Remember I said don't leave the variable with a negative. So that means you're dividing out the negative coefficient. So you divide by the negative 2. A negative 2 over negative 2 just give you 1. So that's just 1y. And then you divide the right side by the negative 2. And that gives you the negative 1. You got it?
I think so.
Maureen, you follow?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is solving just like we did before. The only difference is that you have two variables here, and I'm giving you a value for one variable, and I say solve that other variable. So I say if x is 0, what is y? If x is 0, y is a -1. If x is 1, now I put a 1 for the x, what is y? Y is a -1/2. Now, what if x was a 2? Audrey, put a 2 here and tell me what would you get for y? So put a 2 where that x is and tell me what do you get for y? So you'd have 2 minus 2y equal to 2. Now what is y equal?
You said 2 minus what?
If okay, let me just insert. Okay. Now, what I wanted you to do here, okay, I have the same, let's see. Okay. So what I want you to do, I want you to put a 2. Let's get that out. I want you to substitute x as 2. Okay. So we're working with a clean slate. Okay. Okay. Now, instead of x equals 0, let's just take that out. I want you to say x equal to 2. So let me just put that here. X equal 2. So where you see an x, put a 2 there. And I want you to solve for y. So that would be then 2 for the x minus 2y equal 2. Now, Audrey, what is y equal to? How would you solve for y?
Divided by 2.
No, 2 minus 2y equal 2. What would be your first step? Remember, you're solving for y. So what would be your first step?
Subtract the 2.
Yes, subtract the 2. So what would that leave you with? Minus 2y equal 2 minus 2 equal to 0. So now you've got minus 2y equal 0. Now, what would be your next step, Audrey, to solve just for y? What's your inverse operation right here?
You divide.
That's right, absolutely, divide, because that's a multiplication. So you divide both sides by -2, and that would give you y equal 0 divided by -2, and that would be equal to 0. So what does that mean? That means when x is 2, y is 0. And this is the way it would look. It would be 2 for the x and 0 for the y. There we go, x, y. Got it? So when x is 2, y is 0. Okay, now this right here. And you see right here, right? That's that same equation we did, that linear equation we represented on a coordinate grid. And see here, when x is 2, y is 0. We actually calculate, but you can see right here that's correct. When x is 0, y is a -1. Questions? That's how in a table form you can find the values. If you have an equation, like here, x minus 2y equal 2, plug a value for x and find the y. Do that for like 4 different points, and you'll find that they will connect into a straight line because that's a linear equation. Now, linear equations have variables, but they can't have more than 2 now. They can have 2, they can have 1, but they can't have more than 2. That would not be a linear equation by definition. Now, notice here, x is 4, y is 1, right? Now, I want to go back here, Audrey. Let's go back, Maureen. Put a 4 here. And tell me, what do you get for y?
So put a 4 where?
Yeah, where the x is. Let me just...
where the x put a 4?
Yeah, I want to put... let me just put here. Okay. Okay. Now...
You see where the x put a 4?
Yeah. I want you to say x is 4. Right here. Okay. Let me just write it.
Leave it the same way if it's there.
Yeah. Substitute 4 for x. X is 4. Right? I want you to solve for y.
So you subtract 4 from those 2 numbers?
No.
What do you do, Maureen?
She said x minus 2y equals 4. That's what you meaning?
No. X is 4. I mean, where you see an x, put a 4. Put the number 4. You got it? Substitute for the variable.
That's what I just asked you. If the x, where you have the x, to put a 4. That's what I just
That's
asked.
it. No. That's it, Audrey. Exactly. Put a 4 there and then solve it. I want you to solve for y. X is 4. And I want you to solve for y. Solve
4 minus 2y.
For y. All right. So you've got x is 4. And I want you to solve for y. Tell me what you get for y. You can tell me what the x, y.
So x minus, 4 minus 2y equals what?
Equal 2. Same thing you have here. You got it, Audrey. You started it right. 2. Okay, so you got 4 minus 2y. 4 minus 2y equal 2. Now keep going and solve for y.
Equals 2. Okay, 4 minus 2y. Okay. So,
what would you do next? What would you do next, Maureen?
Subtract 2y's.
Subtract what?
By 2.
No, what would you do?
2y.
Remember, you want to get the 4 on the side with the 2. Those are 2 constants. So what would you do, Maureen?
Subtract.
Subtract what?
4 from both sides.
That's it. Do that. Subtract 4 from both sides. Did you do that, Audrey? Subtract 4 from both sides. Put here,
what do we get? 4. Okay, subtract 4 from both sides. Do you get?
What do you get, Maureen? Subtract 4 from both sides. What do you get?
You get a 2y and 2.
You get minus, don't throw away signs, minus 2y, and what would that be equal to? 2 minus 4 is what, Maureen?
2.
No.
6.
2 minus 4 is what, Audrey?
-2.
That's right, -2.
Oh, I just forget it is
Maureen, don't forget your signs. You got to subtract. That's a +2 and a -4 you subtract, and your sign is a negative because that's your bigger number, negative. So what you're left with is minus 2y equal -2. So what is y, Audrey?
So x will be 4.
What is y? Y is -2 divided by the coefficient -2, and that's equal to 1.
1.
Okay, now let's go back to our graph and see if that's what they got here. Okay, there we go. X is 4 and Y is 1. So we know that's correct, right? See, they plotted it here. There's the 4 for the X and the 1 over here for the Y. Questions? Questions? So you can build yourself a table. See, that's what I was doing here. You can build yourself a table. So we said the 1, it was a -1/2. And then for the 2, what did we get for the 2? Or did we do the 2? Yeah. 2, we got 0, right? So for the 2, let's just continue in the table here. So the 2, we got a 0. And then we did a 4. And for the 4, we got a 1. So when X was 4, Y was 1. So you can build yourself a table. For the X values, what do you get for the Y? Using the linear equation to calculate the value for the other variable. Got it? And then you can plot it like was plotted on this line here. You can plot, see, and if you took a -2, you should get a -2y. If you got a -2x, you should get a -2y. Okay? And I want you to try that one. See if you get the -2. Let's go back to, okay. Okay, let's do an insert. And do the duplicate. Now I want you to use X as a -2. Okay, so let me leave the X there. And take that out and put a -2. And I want you to calculate it. So, okay, so the X is a -2. I want you to solve for the Y. Okay, X is a -2. And I want you to solve for Y. So let me just take this out because that's from the other one. Okay. Maureen, you solving it?
Where is it?
Audrey, you solving it? So where you see the X, put a -2. Okay. Cut that out because that's from the other problem. Okay. Okay, so you got X -2y equal 2. So your first step is to put what? The -2 for the X. So you have -2 minus 2y equals 2.
Yeah.
Now go from there and solve it. Audrey, what do you do first?
Minus 2 plus 2. You subtract?
Subtract what, Maureen? What are you
2
going to...
2 from both sides?
But you got a subtraction already. You got a negative sign. So you have to do the opposite. You have to add the 2. Right?
Yeah.
See, this is a negative, so you'd have to add. To get a 0, you'd have to add a 2 to a negative 2, right? So that means you add 2 to both sides. So, Audrey, did you do that?
Yes.
Add. Okay, so you're adding a 2, because in order to get that to go to 0, you'd have to have a plus 2, right? So add 2. Now, add 2, minus 2 and minus 2 would be 0. That would give you minus 2y. And Maureen, what's 2 plus 2?
4.
4.
4y.
Now you can tell me the answer. What's the answer for y?
Okay.
Audrey, you got it? What's the answer for y?
2.
No.
Minus 2?
Minus 2. Because you have a plus 4 divided by that coefficient of the y, which is a minus 2. So your answer would be minus 2. And that's exactly what we had in that graphical representation of that. There we go, right here. There we go. Minus 2x minus 2y. There we go, right there. Questions? Audrey, did you get it?
No.
What happened?
I don't know what I do. I do nothing here.
Did you put in the minus 2 for the x? See, I say, let the x be a minus 2.
You get 4.
So you add the 2 to both sides, a plus 2 and a minus 2 is 0. So you're left with just a minus 2y.
2 plus 2.
And 2 and 2 is 4, right?
2 and 2 is 4.
Did you get
this?
And
a plus and a minus is 0, so you get 4.
Okay, right?
And then you divide the 4 by 4?
No.
What? The 2.
There's a multiplication right here. That's your 2 coefficient multiplied by y. So you divide both sides by 2.
4. Wait,
and a minus 2y divided by a minus 2 is just y. Because minus 2 over minus 2 is a 1.
Wait a minute, 2y.
And 4 divided by minus 2 is a minus 2.
Get that one right. I know we do there.
You follow, Audrey?
Okay, let me see what I did. I didn't do that right. So that is the x minus the 2.
So what happened? Did you get this step right here?
2.
Well, you substituted in the minus 2 for the x. So let's take your original equation, and the x is a minus 2. So minus 2 minus 2y equals 2. So Audrey, did you have this correct right here?
I get nothing the part right, add the 0 and the 4 and the y. I get the 2. So where I get that 2? Oh, the x that equals to negative 2 is have to divide by the 4.
No, the x is a negative 2. So that means
so that is why you got to divide that 4 by that 2, the y.
No, the 2 by the 4.
No, right here, minus 2y equals 4. So just to get y by itself, we have to divide both sides by negative 2, Audrey. Right here, divide by that coefficient.
Okay, I divide 2.
So a minus 2y divided by minus 2 just gives you y.
You get confused.
And then the 4.
I get the 2 minus the 2y equals.
You got this correct right here, right?
2 minus 2y and the 2y.
Minus 2y equals 4.
2y equals 4, yes.
But think about it, Audrey. Think logical.
Negative 2. Let me go back again.
What number
2
multiplied by y would give you a 4.
And the 2, negative 2 to y equals to 4.
Okay. So just ask yourself the question, Audrey. What number multiplied by y would give you 4?
2 is 4.
Hmm?
The 2y and negative 2y is equals to 4, right?
Right. Okay. That means a number times minus 2 gives you 4. What is that number?
Negative 2 minus 4.
What number y times a negative 2 would give you a plus 4?
Y negative 2?
Negative 2. Because a negative 2 times a negative 2 is a positive 4. Right?
Yeah.
So at this point, all I'm saying is that you can just ask yourself, if I multiply minus 2 by some number and get 4, it has to be a negative, because a negative times negative gives me positive. If it were a positive times negative, that would be a negative 4. So I said it can only be a negative 2, because negative 2 times y negative 2 gives me 4, because like signs multiply to give you plus. Got it, Audrey?
I said the other confusing.
Okay, where are you confused? Right here?
Yeah, because I don't like that.
You didn't have this part?
I subtract the negative 2 minus 2y is 2, right?
That's right. That's just after all that's doing is substituting for x minus 2. So that becomes minus 2 minus 2y equals 2. That's just saying, let me take the value given for my x, and that's a minus 2. Now I should only.
So what I did with the 2? The negative 2 times the negative 2 give you negative 4.
Negative 2 times negative 2 gives plus 4.
That's 4.
Plus. Remember, Audrey, like signs give you plus, whether they're negative or positive.
Negative plus.
Negative times negative gives plus. Plus times plus gives plus. Remember, negative I gave you those rules?
Plus 2.
Negative times negative is plus. Plus times plus
negative 2 plus 2 is 4. Negative 4. That's how we do it.
You did what?
No, I had negative 2 plus negative 2. I think that I did.
Well, this is not a plus now.
Huh?
Oh, you mean right here?
Yes.
Minus 2y equal 2. Yeah, a negative 2. Well, if this is a negative 2, you'd have to add the 2 to both sides. So this would
right. So negative 2 plus the 2y.
A negative 2 and a plus 2 would give you 0. That's why you're left with just the negative 2y. But when you add a 2 over here, you get a 4.
Okay.
So this is, okay, let me put it here. Go to another one. Okay.
So you add 2 to both sides. Y 4. And then you divide that 4 by 2, negative 2?
Yes.
Okay.
4 divided by negative 2, and you get a negative 2, because negative 2 times negative 2 is a plus 4.
Okay, so yeah. 4 divided by negative 2 give it negative 2.
Negative 2 times negative 2 give plus 4. So 4 divided by negative 2 gives a negative
4 divided by negative 2 giving negative 2.
That's right, because the rules of signs, like signs multiply or divide to give you plus. So minus times minus give plus, plus times plus give plus. Minus plus divided by minus give minus, and minus divided by minus give plus. Okay, whenever you have unlike signs, you get a negative. But when you have like signs, you get a plus, whether it's multiplication or division. Okay, so minus times minus is plus, minus divided by minus is plus. Plus times plus is plus, plus divided by plus is plus. But when you have the mix, plus times minus gives minus. Plus divided by minus gives minus. Okay? Or minus divided by plus give minus. Got it, Audrey? Is it clearer?
We've got to look back for that paper. I've got to look for that sheet for those signs.
Yeah. Well, okay, so right in here, Audrey, put your +2 and your +2 on both sides. Add a +2 and a +2. Put another step right up underneath that. All right.
Where you got the -2 and the -2, you said put what?
No, this line right here. Okay. All right. Oh, let me do this. No problem.
I got -2 minus 2y equals 2.
Okay. All right. Now, what I was saying is, okay, let me do this. Let me take that out. Okay. Okay, now we're solving for y, right? So let me just, I want to take it all out and then put all the steps in there, make it clearer. Okay, so let's just take the first one. Put the -2 in for the x. Okay, so let's just substitute for the x, -2. So I have -2 minus 2y equal 2. Now we're looking for the y value, so right? So then we add 2 to both sides. So let me just put add 2 to both sides. Okay. And then I'll put, okay, so that's -2, add the 2, plus 2, minus 2y equal 2 plus 2, right? Now, a -2 and a +2, Audrey, is 0, right? So I'm left with a -2y on the left, and a 2 plus 2 is 4. Now, I have a -2y. That's a multiplication. So to solve for the y, I have to divide by that coefficient -2. That leaves me y on the left, and 4 divided by -2 is -2 on the right. So what does that mean? When x is a -2, just put it here, there's the coordinates, y is a -2. Okay? Is that clear, Audrey?
Yes.
Okay, so I put that step in there where you add the 2 so you can see the plus and the minus goes to 0, and you just left with a -2y. And that's equal to 2 plus 2 or 4. And the only number times a -2 to give a 4 is another negative, because negative times negative is plus. Got it?
Yes, I think so.
Okay. All right. Now, I want to look at the different kinds of, let me do a new share here. And I want to look at the 3 main forms of linear equations. Now, there are 3 basic formats of linear equations: the slope-intercept, the point-slope, and the standard. The one we'll work with most is really the slope-intercept, okay? Where we have y equal mx plus b. M represents the slope, and b is the y-intercept of a line. That is where it crosses the y line. Okay, now this is what this is saying here. And then, of course, slope is rise over run. Just remember, rise is the y. Rise up, vertical, run across, horizontal. So that means difference in the y values is rise, difference in the x values is run. Okay. So now the point slope, this is the point slope. Now, when I showed you that graph before, you had x and y values. You had more than one set of x, y values. So point slope, you'd have those two y values, the slope, and the two x values. That's the point slope format. The standard form is ax plus by is equal to c. Now, these are coefficients. X and y are the variables, and of course, c is the constant. Now, notice they tell you on the standard form, this a term must be a positive integer, no negative, all right? A, B, and C cannot be decimals or fractions. So if you were given a format, say for standard, and you had something there with decimals, you know that's not standard. Now, how do you use this? Now, remember I said we will be concentrating more on the slope intercept. In other words, I can give you an equation, ask you to put it in this format. So the y would be on the left, m, the slope coefficient of the x variable, plus the b, the y-intercept. Now, let's go to, all right. Now, here's a problem. What is the slope-intercept form of a line going through these points? Now, you have a x is a 1, y is a 5. Let me make this bold so it's clearer. Okay, so x is 1, y is 5. Then you have another point, x is a -4, and y is a 7. Now, when you calculate the slope, remember it's always the difference in the y values divided by the difference in the x value. So don't get them confused now, because the x is the first number in the set and followed by the y. So this is x. You could think of this way. x1 is 1, y1 is 5. x2 is -4, y2 is 7. Now, it doesn't matter. You could call -4 and 7 x1 and y1. You could call this x2, y2. It'll come out the same. But once you label them, don't mix and match. These are either your first set, second set, or either this is your first set and this is your second set. So now the best way to do this is just label them. Now notice how they're labeled. The 1 and the 5. x1, 5, y1. x2, -4, y2 is 7. So once you label them,
x is 1. She said x is 1 and 5 is y.
Yeah. 5 is y1.
So 5 is 1.
Well, once you label them, Audrey, that prevents you from getting them mixed up.
So 1 is x. X is 5.
The first number is always an x.
Okay, so 1 is x.
1 is an x here, -4 is an x here. 5 is a y here, and 7 is a y here.
Okay, 7 is the y.
7 is a y, -4 is an x.
And 5 is the y too.
5 is a y also, right? I have 2 points. So if you got 2 points, you got 2 y values and 2 x values. Just like on that graph I showed you before of that linear equation graphed on that line. Notice I had 4 points there, right? There were 4 points on that line. So we could have used 2 of those and calculated the slope of that line. In other words, the rise over the run. You only need 2 points there to calculate the slope. But what I'm suggesting is that you pick out what you want as your X1 and your Y1 and label it. And then label your X2 and your Y2. Then once you do that, then it's a matter of substituting in this equation. You got it? Audrey, questions? Questions? Audrey? I don't want to keep going now if you have a question.
You said that the X, you have to label it?
I'm saying labeling it prevents you from making mistakes because you can't mix and match. You can't call 1 X1 and 5 Y2. That's a no-no. You got it?
Okay.
In other words, if 1 is an X1, 5 is a Y1. Audrey, you understand?
X is 1 and 5 is Y.
5 is a Y1. Well, let's just call this is our first point. X
and then you have
is a 1 and Y1 is a 5. Then we have a second point. X2 is a -4 and Y2 is a 7. No mix and matching. No mixing. In other words, once you say this set of X, Y is 1,
okay, so
both
you put
the X and the Y are 1. Audrey?
So those numbers go over each other?
They what?
So you put those numbers over each other?
Yeah, you can put it over or under. Doesn't matter as long as you label them. So if you say, I'll take 1 and 5 as my first set of points. So you call X1, 1, and 5, your Y1. Then you say, I take my second point, -4 is my X2, and 7 is my Y2.
Okay.
Okay, but it doesn't matter now. Like I say, you could call the -4 and the 7 your X1, Y1. And your 1 and your 5 could be your X2, Y2. It's just that they're never mixed. You have set 1 and set 2. So you use your 1, say, on this set, your 2 on this set, or you could use 1 on this set and 2 on this set. But I'm saying to prevent mistakes, just go ahead and label them. Label them. X1, Y1, X2, Y2. And once you label them, you can substitute them in this equation, right? Because Y2 would be 7 and Y1 would be 5. So that'll be 7 minus 5. Then when you get to the X is a -4 minus X1 is a 1. So that'd be -4 minus 1. Got it? And here it is right here. Y2 minus Y1 over X2 minus X1 will be those values, 7 minus 5 over -4 minus 1. So your slope, 7 minus 5 is 2. A -4 and a -1 is a -5. So your slope is a -2/5. Got it? So then when you substitute in this equation, y equal mx plus b, the slope for the m is -2/5. There's your x, and then plus b. There's your equation. Questions? Questions on finding the slope using the 2 points? Because we're looking for the slope-intercept form of a line. That means we're looking for what is y equal mx plus b. So we found the m. and we have to find the B. So we found the M, and the M was the 2 minus 2/5. Now we want to find the B. Okay, and we can find the B, and how we can do that, we can just take one set of points and find the B. Substitute those points in. So you could take whichever set of points you want to take. Let's go back up here. You could take the 1 and the 5, or you could take the -4 and the 7, whichever one you want to take, and substitute in the equation and solve for the B. All right. So if we take y is 5, now let's go back up here. We take y is 5, x is 1, right? So we substitute those in, we can solve for our B. So we take this y equal -2/5 x plus b, put 5 for the y, put 1 for the x, and now we have only one unknown, and that's the b, and we can solve that, and that comes up b equals 27/5. So y equal mx plus b is y equal slope -2/5 x plus y-intercept is 27/5. Questions on solving for the slope. Number 1, when you're given 2 points. Questions?
I don't understand that one, Miss Barbara.
Okay.
Why you just that example you just showed it? I didn't understand that.
Okay, let's go back here. Okay.
We're gonna give you a simple one first.
Okay. Well, this is the simple one.
No, she mean the one you went over. That's not the 27 answer.
What is it?
The other one.
What is it?
The other one, you know, the other one. You talking about the other one, right?
Okay, no, that's okay, Audrey. I know what you're saying. Okay, let's take a simple one. You're right. The number 2 is a simple one. What is the slope-intercept equation if the slope is a -4 and the y-intercept is 1/5? That is the simple one. Y equal mx plus b. M is the slope, so we put the -4, and b is the y-intercept. We just put 1/5. That's it. Now this one is one where I gave you the slope and I gave you the y-intercept. So it's a matter of plugging them into this slope-intercept equation. M is the slope, that's the -4. There it is right there. B is the y-intercept, that's 1/5. Okay, now, when I give you one that's where I give you points for you to find it, okay, now to make this simpler, what I do, I probably will not give you an equation. This problem is extensive. What I'll probably do is once I give you these points, I will then ask you, I'll give you like 4 choices and ask you which one of these could be used to calculate the slope. That means you gotta get the y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. You follow, Audrey?
I didn't hear what you said.
No. I said, when I give you some slope-intercept type questions, the first question I will ask you is which setup is correct for calculate the slope. And I give you 2 points. Now that means you got to give me a y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. In other words, you can't mix up these, say 1 and then 7 and then 5 and -4, okay? And if I give you 4 choices, then you pick the choice.
Okay.
You got it? So I would not give you a problem where you have to do all of this at once. In fact, I give you setups and you pick the right setup. So if I gave you 2 points, Audrey, you think you can pick the right setup?
I think so.
Okay. All right. Let me do this. Let me give you some points here just to see. Okay. I'll just give you 2 points and I just want you to tell me. Okay. Yeah. right, given two points on a line, what is the setup for calculating the slope? Okay, now I'm giving you 2 points. Okay, let's put here. I'm giving you 5, 7, and -2, 4. Okay, now all I want you to do is give me the setup. Now remember, the setup would be the difference in the y over the difference in x. Sometimes that's called like, okay, let me just put difference in y values divided by the difference in x values. Okay, so it's a division, right? Subtraction and a division. Subtraction of the y values divided by the subtraction of the x value. And what I'm suggesting is that you label these, whichever ones you want as your x1 and y1, put a little label on top. All right, and then tell me what's the correct setup. Can you just do that for me? Maureen, you got it?
I set up 5 for X and 7 for Y. And -2 for X and 4 for Y.
Okay, now tell me the setup. Setup is the difference in y values divided by the difference in x. So what would that look like?
I don't know.
Hmm?
I don't know.
That's a subtraction, Maureen. Let me go back up here. Okay. Let me just write it for you. Okay, that's x2 minus I'm sorry. Go back. Y2 minus y1. Put these okay. Divided by, and I said the difference, that's what the numerator is, a difference, and the denominator is different. So let me just underline, and let me put my x. x2 minus x1. Now, I just want you to give me a setup for those two. So what would be your y2? What would be your y1? What would be your x2? What would be your x1? Audrey, you want to tell me?
Nice.
Audrey, what are you calling your y value, your y2 and your y1?
Oh, I see.
Audrey? Now, what I'm suggesting is that you just put, let me just put this here. Okay. Now, this is x and y. This is x and y. Now, suppose you say, I'll call that my x1, right? Comma. And I'll call that my y1. Right? Let me put the little x here. Okay. And there's this other set, I'm putting the values over. This will be my x2, and my
X1. Y2.
No, y2, that's right. Y2. Okay, Audrey, you see I labeled them. X1 is 5, Y1 is 7. X2 is -2, Y2 is 4. Now, you may have wanted to label yours different. You may have want to call this X2, Y2, this X1, Y1, and that's okay, all right? But once you label them, then you can substitute. So, Audrey, if you substitute in, tell me what would you have? The way I have them labeled here. What would be your Y2? What's your Y2, Audrey?
Yeah, I see Y2.
It's labeled. I have them labeled for you. See, I labeled them. What's Y2 value? Do you see it?
Yes.
What's the value of Y2?
Oh, -2 and 4.
2 is
Can only be one value, Maureen. I said Y.
Negative.
What
Oh,
is Y2?
4.
4. Or do you see that? I labeled them. Y2 is 4. What is Y1, Audrey?
2.
Y1 is labeled what?
Look, I add Audrey with the 5
Audrey,
7.
look here. Look here.
Oh, I look at the one.
What do you look up here? I labeled them for you. Y2 is 4, like Maureen said. What's Y1, Audrey? Audrey, what is Y1? You see it? You're looking right here.
It's 2.
Audrey,
no,
why?
Audrey, look at the 5 and the 7.
Audrey, look here. I label them. X1 is 5, Y1 is 7. X2 is 2, Y2 is 4. Okay? So, Y2, Maureen said was 4. Audrey, what is Y1?
No, understanding that at all.
Audrey, wait a minute, Audrey. Wait, Maureen, wait a minute. Audrey, do you see where my cursor is moving?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I labeled each one of these points, right? I took the 5 and the 7. I made the 5 X1 and the 7 Y1. I made the -2 X2 and the 4 Y2. Now, all I want you to do is substitute those values that I labeled in this expression. So Y2 is a 4. So what is Y1, Audrey, up here? You see Y1? Audrey, do you see Y1?
Y1 is 5?
No.
There's an X, Audrey.
Audrey, that's a Y1 right there. What's below it?
Right there. 7.
7. There you go.
She can have this thing ready for me.
Okay, see, Y2 is a 4. Y1 is a 7. Now we're dividing this by the difference in the X values, Audrey. So what is X2, Audrey? Look again up here. X2 is over what value? X2 is over what value?
2, -2.
That's it. Perfect. Okay. So let's put our -2. So that's -2. And X1 is what?
5.
5. There you go. You got it. Okay. Now you got the, based on the labels, you got 4 minus 7 divided by -2 minus 5. Now, if you want to carry this out, okay, what's 4 minus 7, Audrey? Four minus 7 plus 4 and a -7, subtract, what do you get? Audrey, you're on mute. Maureen. Maureen, what do you get? Audrey, you on mute. What's a +4 and a -7, Audrey?
Huh? What?
A +4 and a -7. Subtract. What do you get? +4 -7, subtract. Sign of the greater absolute value. -3, perfect. Okay, what's a -2 and a -5? Like signs you add, so what is that, Audrey? -2 and a -5 is what? Audrey?
7.
-7. -7. Minus, give minus. So minus over minus is plus, right? So -3 over -7 just gives you 3/7. And that's your slope. 3/7. Got it? Audrey, is that clearer?
Yes.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying, Audrey. If you label these, see how I labeled them? X1 is a 5, Y1 is a 7. X2 is a -2, and Y2 is a 4. Then once you have the Y2 minus Y1 difference over X2 minus X1, then it's just a matter of picking out based on your labels. Y2 is a 4, Y1 is a 7, right? X2 is a -2, and X1 is a 5. Okay, and difference means subtract. Questions? So if you have the y equal mx plus b, and you need to find the slope would be 3/7. So y equal 3/7 x plus b. And we can leave it at that. And then later we'll look at how we solve for the b. Any questions on just this part? Any questions? Okay, now this is the one we'll be spending more time on, the one that has the slope intercept. Now the other ones we will look at probably later, but of those 3 different ones, okay. But I do want you to, let me just go back up here.
Okay, go back to the one she had first.
Okay. The slope intercept y equal mx plus b. That's the one we'll concentrate more on. Now, the point slope form, and here again, you have the difference in y, difference in x times the slope. Now, this again could be a setup. The m is still the slope. Y minus y1 is the y values difference, and x minus x1 is the x values different. Okay, we won't spend much time on the standard form. The standard form, ax plus by is equal to c. I just want you to know it exists. But we will be spending time on the slope intercept form. All right, any questions on anything we've gone over? So please follow my advice and label them. Okay. Go back up here, because if you label them, you can see how much easier it is, right, Audrey?
Yes.
Yeah, when you put what the X1 and Y1 and X2 and Y2, then it's just a matter of substituting. So if I gave you a setup and asked you which one is correct, you label them correctly, you could pick out the right one, correct?
Right.
Okay, so that's what I want you to be able to do. And also like that one I gave you, where I gave you the slope and I gave you the y-intercept, and then I ask you which one it is, you should be able to do that. I think I did. Okay, like here, I gave you the slope intercept equation. I asked you to find it, right? And I said, what is the slope? The slope I gave you and the y-intercept. But now if you know y equal mx plus b is the slope-intercept equation, then you could plug in the -4 for the slope and the 1/5 for the y-intercept. But make sure you know the format of your slope-intercept equation. Y equal mx plus b. And what is m, Maureen?
Huh?
What is m?
-4x.
No, what is m? General.
4.
No,
-4.
m is the slope.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a -4 here, but I want you to know that m represents the slope. And what does the b represent, Audrey?
The B is the
y-intercept.
Y-intercept. That's where we cross the y. No, m is the slope. That's the coefficient of the x. And b is the y-intercept.
Y-intercept. Yeah.
Okay, so I want you to know that. So if I gave you these values, I want you to tell me what is the slope. If I gave you an equation and I put 1/3 in front of my x, then my 1/3 is my slope, right? Okay, so we'll stop here. We'll continue with our, well, the intercept calculation, we'll go through that one again, just like we did with the slope, because that one's a little more involved, okay? All right, so